And they're off. So, for anyone who's new, Falcon Dive is an open world randomizer for the Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster. So, many people are familiar with Free Enterprise. This is inspired by that, but not quite the same. You'll see major differences pretty quickly. So off the bat, we have Tella as our starting character, and thunder claws indicate the presence of either a yang or an edge in the world. The equipment that we find is guaranteed to be appropriate to the characters. I'm sorry we appear to be getting a little bit of choppiness on the streams, and hopefully that will settle down. I will look around. I am both commentating and restreaming, so I will be taking a look. But it looks like Infinious headed for Eblin Castle to do a dive and grab those very slightly better than average chests. And I don't know if he'll be doing, I guess perhaps if he finds something exciting, then he'll go after the trap chests. Those have very good rewards if you can handle the fights. Darn, I apologize for my computer. And I'm going to do some things. This is unusual. I usually have quite good very consistent internet, and of course on the moment that I'm restreaming we're struggling with that. Antidale, thank you for the additional commentary in chat. While we struggle a little bit, I'm gonna do a quick restart, force reload on these streams to see if that helps. Naturally, that looks worse for a moment. Okay, I'm going to give us Marth's audio since that has at least loaded for the moment. Okay, we have Marth diving doing the early part of the watery cave for those slightly better. Just as Infinious is doing, it looks like Antlion Cave, and we're just gonna run with what we've got. I'm not gonna risk making things worse at this point. So I apologize for that choppy start. And let's see what we've got. On Infinious' side, in Antlion Cave, we've got I think that's goblins as dark imps. So that'll fall real easy with just throwing a bomb arm. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. That was Fubble Gauntlet. So that'll be a series of enemies from the Antlion Cave area. You can tell by the color of the robe that the creature is wearing, but it's a little tough. Marth is in Underwater Passage and has encountered Antlion there. That's kind of close to where you expected it. So yes, as I was saying, Falcon Dive is an open world randomizer for Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster. One of the main differences from Free Enterprise is that you start with just one character, and characters are available just as normal checks. As we just saw on Marth's side, Rosa has joined the party. So we've got a Tella and a Rosa, and we know there's either a Young or an Edge or in our future. Meanwhile, Infinious got nothing. Nothing is nothing, but 3 nothings is something, because that's how we do math in Falcon Dive. Marth has gone to Domcian, where he will fight Edward, and Edward is being played by Sandworm today. These runners have this early game really well under control, using those J items to just take all the hit points off of enemies. Doesn't really matter too much who your party is if you can just throw some Arctic Winds or Bomb Arms. Especially if you're able to specialize ones to the weaknesses of the enemies. And our reward for that fight is... I didn't see it. My screen froze. Did you catch it? Another nothing. Okay, so between them they have 3 nothings. If you have 3 nothings, you can report to the telescope in... I just lost the town name, I apologize. I'm having one of those evenings, and you can turn that in for a key item, so that could end up being important. It is Agar. I second-guessed myself. Thank you very much for the support. Antidale. Antidale or Antidale? Infinious heading into Baron Inn. That's going to be... looks like it's Odin followed by a normal monster. So, shouldn't be too big a deal. A little bit higher HP pool, but reasonable at this point. Interesting to have chosen this before Watery. Okay, and I will try to remember how to pronounce Antidale's name in the future. Oh, I apologize, that was Lunasaurs. They masquerade as normal monsters in the sense that they also have a sprite, which is the cloaked characters from Land of Some Monsters in different colors. So I misidentified that. And he's gonna go again. Cracker Age of the Gods to just get rid of Odin and get straight into the Lunasaurus fight at full health. And we have some high potions to use on the Lunasaurs. Or one, anyway. Meanwhile, Marth has turned in those 3 nothings and gotten a crystal shard. That's 1 of 4. We need 3 to go to Zeromos, so Marth is technically a third of the way to go mode. And is joining us in Baron for the Baron Inn, which is getting pretty close to the last location. We still have Mount Ordeals and Fabul outside of this, but doing a little shopping, getting as many throwable items as we can. And Hobbs, we haven't done Hobbs yet. There. Looks like Marth peeked and said, I don't want to deal with Lunasaurs yet. and is heading southeast, so that's probably going to be Hobbs and Fabul in one order or the other. Fabul it is. Fabul has some shopping available if you need it. But Marth has already spent all his cash while he was in Baron, so single fight there. And Infinious is coming to Watery Pass, so we'll get Tella there. I am happy to do that. It seemed to me that the audio was being non-choppy, and just the video being choppy, but if it's actually worse on your end, I'm happy to switch over to the other. We can have audio on the left. That is our usual default until there's a clear leader anyway. Thank you for the suggestion. Yeah, unfortunately, Marth does not have transcoding, and I think that the or didn't when I checked. Yeah, and I was giving us 72060. I think it's just struggling a tiny bit today. I sincerely apologize if the audio is choppy. That suggests that it's on my end, as it's fine on the monitor. Which is especially bad. If I restream again, I will definitely have to do some detective work on why everything seemed fine right up until I went live. I have seen one thing I can try. That's not better, we're still kind of choppy. So Marth is headed to Mount Ordeals. This is going to be 3 fights in a row for 1 check. Why we put it off for a bit. And off the bat, we have regular Wyvern. Bahamut. I don't know why my brain supplied the wrong name. And we're just going to damage race that with our use items. Infinious coming to Hobbs. I think that's where we saw Luge on Marth's side. Yeah, there's Dr. Luge. And I see Marth found a hovercraft, which is our underground access. If your underground is via hovercraft, it's guaranteed that you will have, you could have 3 characters in your party before you get there. Marth has those characters, so the remaining 2 characters in the seed are not guaranteed. They could be out there somewhere, but they might not but they might be extremely out of the way. And similarly, Infinious has Darkness Crystal, which again, 3 characters are guaranteed before that. So we've seen all of the characters that we know will be available. Simultaneous shopping. Oh no, not shopping. Marth was just checking inventory before heading in. The final ordeals fight. We're actually seeing an Erdrick sword used on Infinious' side. That's a little borrow from Dragon Warrior Randomizer. It's just a 40 strength sword that anyone at all can use. 40 attack in Final Fantasy IV is not amazing, but also not terrible in the early game, so sometimes it works out. The ordeal is blue dragons. That's a fun fight. See, Marth has pulled out some bows and berserked the party and is just wearing them down. Oh, that's true. The Erdrick sword does have species damage against dragons, so it will be actually quite handy for that one fight. And I totally blinked and missed the reward. But I'm guessing it was Earth Crystal since we've come to Troya. And I don't think Marth would come all the way here just to loot the light treasury. Oh, harp. Ah, there it is. Thank you for lighting it up, Antidale. Infinious is summoning that whale and going to the moon. So we're once again getting some significant diversions. Following Twin Harp as Martha is kind of the following the basic logic path. Some players actually like to dive the Magnetic Cavern early without Twin Harp, just because these are pretty decent chests and nothing stopping you from just going in there and opening them. But Marth has Twin Harp, so I'm gonna, in fact, send the audio over there in anticipation of the lovely harp solo that we'll be hearing in a few moments. Here in Falcon Dive, this is the Twin Harp is, of course, not randomized, but it is an actual harpist playing a harp. Infinious here in the Giant of Babel. These are significantly higher tier treasure chests, so I saw Protect Ring come by. That'll be some nice defense down the line. Chain Whip indicates that Rydia exists. So that identifies our fifth character, or I guess identifies our fourth character, with the fifth one being one of Yang or Edge. Noting that Marth picked up Edward along the way. Infinious is skipping the last arm and going straight to the shop, selling off some high-end stuff. I see a Brave Suit, which means that it is in fact Yang that's the last character that's available. I didn't catch what we're going to be buying out of the shop besides a few cottages. Oh, some hourglasses. So, hourglasses and coeral whiskers. So we're going to be doing some looting of treasure chests. And it looks like Infinious was just looting Giant and is teleporting out. Wanted to get some of those opportunities to get some higher end equipment before heading into mid to high tier fights. And we're going to be doing the same on the moon. Although those hourglasses that he bought will enable looting some of the trap chests on the moon, which can have up to will have tier 8 or 9 equipment guaranteed as a reward for those fights, as well as lots of XP for the characters, which will be a good boost before heading underground. And he may be hoping to pick off one or two of the late game key items in hopes of finding a magma rock and not having to slog through Tower of Babel on the way to underground. Meanwhile, the Dark Elf has transformed into his true form of Yang, and Marth finished that off and got Bomb Ring, so we can now head to Town of Mist for a fight with, I guess, something representing an angry Rydia, or a key item there. Ella's brakes landed pretty well on Infinious screen, and then having Ella bio himself so that Edward and Rosa can get the XP. Indefinite planning and an Assassin's Dagger is a very nice weapon to have available. Especially the 15 agility that it gives. And make a character go real fast. That is definitely potentially endgame equipment. And was that just a casual silver shield in a chest on Infinious' side? That's a nice get. Anybody can use that. Or almost anybody can use that. And it has some nice bonus stats on the left hand. 2 of them, I missed one. As long as your character doesn't want to use two hands for weapons, being able to throw a silver shield on them is real nice. And I have found putting one in one of Young's hands with a claw in the other hand, since Young only cares about stats and types, can be a nice both damage and defense boost for him. Unlike the Erdrick Sword, which looks like it'll be really good for Young, but doesn't actually matter. The Silver Shield does help. Marth has received nothing in exchange for killing that evil wall in Mist Town, and that's a shame. One more nothing would be good for a tier 9 item, but the truth is I don't know if Marth would take the time to turn it in or not. If it comes up real soon, it might be worth it. Depending what else he's seen at that point. I feel like if I were playing on Marth's Seed and I got another nothing right now, I'd go for it and see what I got. If I were playing on Infinious Seed, he's probably picked up enough from looting the moon that it's not worth it. And yeah, while it's choppy with this Lunasaur fight, it's a great example of the benefits of having... I was starting to say some extra levels, but I think that was actually just the decision-making of using Tella's Kirajas. I don't think we've put Soma drops on him for additional spellcasting, and that would be level dependent. Oh, it was having actually learned Kiraja. Yes, of course, because Tella doesn't learn his spells until he levels. Yeah. 22, 24, somewhere in there. My memory would have said 24. This time we get to listen to... sorry, I forgot to... This over. Were we on the whale music? No, I don't remember. Anyway, we get to listen to the fantastic scene. Ooh. Mist and Adamant on Infinious side. That is a fantastic get. So yeah, Edward with Adamant and a Assassin Dagger is gonna be some solid melee and very fast. Lots of turns. He's a real boy. Yes. You could see some of that fun, or it looks like we're going to get to see some of that fun Falcon dive as possibly unexpected opportunities for characters to really excel in melee in ways that you might not have expected. Excel by using use items in ways that you might not have anticipated. There's some interesting stuff that happens in Falcon Dive. One of the things I really appreciate about this randomizer is that while not every character is equally good, every character is quite usable. So you can certainly take whoever it is you get, whatever party it is you end up with, to Zeromus and make it work. I think I saw an Erdrick's armor on Marth's side coming out of the Giant Devel, which is also very good, unlike Erdrick's sword, which is only... by the time you get it, you probably don't care. Erdrick's armor is perfectly usable in the game. Has decent stats, and float, and fire resistance. And yes, Infinious has found Rydia, so we have a 4-character party on the left. And 5 levels from Nuke, wow. Super usable, and I mean, Bahamut in the meantime is great. Infinious just finding a local monster with overstats. Flare is correct. I sometimes remember the new names. I've been playing Falcon Dive enough that I've internalized many of the new names, but not all of them. So yeah, we can see Edward's just putting out 3,500 damage, berserked. 3,200 real fast turns. It's his turn again already. That agility from the Assassin Adamant combo is definitely paying off. Oh yeah, that hurts. On last arm? Oh, that's frustrating. You just went in for the I'll grab this quick treasure chest and took a death, and a slow death. One nice thing about Falcon Dive is that resets are quick, especially with autosave. You don't have to stress too much about that. You can just pop right back into the game. Infinious finding a trash can, and not much of excitement in the chest behind it, the trash can. Fun little item that we have. We can throw it to do 9999 damage to all enemies, and we're going to go ahead and loot the inner core where we have some potentially high tier treasure chests. I missed one. Next one was a golden apple. And last chance in adamant armor. No, not last chance. Also a hero's shield. Not bad. Lunar curtain's fine. It's not exciting to find in a chest at this stage. Yeah, it's almost as though someone almost made it to Zeromus and then died at the last moment. There was also a Swift Hat in there, so we can certainly set up some extremely high agility for Tella if we feel like it. But it looks like Infinious is not feeling the Tella. And we're going with the melee Rydia and spells. Sorry, melee Edward and spells Rydia as our powerhouses. On Infinious side, knocking out Calcabrina with just one Mega Flare gets an Adamantite. That'll be good for half a tier 9 item and a shop that I don't think he'll be turning in. And Marth is heading out. Up to the moon. Infinious is coming over to the Dark Bahamut spot. This is pretty much Infinious found that one adamant armor in a chest and decided, great, I can do everything now. Oh, it was a silver shield? Yeah, that's nice enough to find until you discover that there's one just sitting in the chest in Cave Bahamut that you could have grabbed for free. And you have a party that currently likes two-handed weapons. Marth trying to equip that silver shield and then realizing that it doesn't have any good one-handed weapons for Edward yet. So no use for it, but once that assassin dagger comes up, he'll be happy. And Infinious has found Plague at the Ragnarok spot. A nice red jacket in the jellyfish cave that Marth will equip on Edward. It's slightly better than Urgent's for him. That's one of Edward's special armors. And a pink tail for Infinious. We've got the hovercraft, so we can go chase that down for a replacement key item. And we still haven't checked the Murasame altar, so we're going to head back in for that. After a heal. Okay, I'm going to swap the audio over to Infinious and see if the sync is better at least. And Ogopogo is guarding the not the usual one of Edge's endgame katanas this time. The Danger Noodle decided to pop over to the other altar. Bit of a visit. And not enjoying that Mega Flare. Rydia has learned Flare for Infinious. And all that gave him nothing. Infinious going after the dragon at Bahamut to finish up the moon. Marth is starting to hourglass his way into picking off some moon treasure chests for some good equipment. Saw a bit of menuing on Infinious's side. It looked like he was considering whether there was a better weapon choice than the Assassin Dagger for this fight. Possibly considering that Urgic Sword, and I didn't catch what he settled on. Oh, and we have found Yang. Characters joining on the moon are very high level, so at least will be immediately decently useful. Has a damage sponge if nothing else, but no, a high level Yang can put out a decent amount of damage as well. And we're going to go on Infinious side back after Giant of Babel. Edward licking his wounds after a rough fight on Marth's side. Actually, I think we've decided to give Edward XP to try to get him enough HP to survive a Big Bang, since he's going to be the big damage dealer. Hovering over those golden apples, do I use them now? Do I commit? Yes, yes he can. I believe that. I haven't tested to confirm that it calculates damage maximally if Yang has 2 silver shields, or if he has to have 1 claw. But from what I've seen, I would expect it to be likely to work the good way. Usually by the time I have a silver shield, I also have at least 1 end game claw, which also have good stats on them, so it's less relevant. But yeah, Yang doesn't mind punching with whatever he can put in his hand. But he also doesn't care about the attack stat on it, so if you gave him a knife, it would be just the same as him punching. Oh, Silver Shield might. I don't know what the accuracy effect of it is, so that might be a cost. But yes, he completely ignores his attack stat, so if, for instance, you equip him with an Erdrick Sword, his attack stat goes up, but that doesn't affect his damage calculation in any way. It can be a little deceptive because the UI tells you it's going up. Meanwhile, this Scarmiglione fight that Infinious has at Elements is over. And gives us Magma Rock, so the doing a bunch of moon checks to avoid having to go through Cave Eblin has had that result. We haven't seen another crystal shard since that first one. Marth just hit that free adamant and threw it immediately on Edward. Rubicante at CPU. See that Infinious Tella is taking a nap. He got us through the early game, and now we're not interested. He's an old man. He's tired. He can rest now. The youngins have. Well, Young's not that young, but. Got the rest of this under control. Marth is fighting the behemoths for some Edward XP and hopefully good items. And the final reward for the Giant of Babel was a Sword of Legend. We do have the pair, so we could get a tier 9 item and open up a shop if we want to. Hardly seems worth it at this stage for Infinious, but he is going to quickly knock out Mount Ordeals. I think he's thinking, what if I left behind a crystal shard? At this point. And this choice is going to just lose him some time. Not a lot of time, because he's gonna roll over these encounters, but it seems like all of our crystal shards are underground. The place we're avoiding going. Is that the case? Not all locations are equally likely to get progression items. Is that a specific boost or a side effect of the way things are distributed? Of the guarantees, the safety checks. I had not noticed a boost like that when I was looking in the code, but I completely believe you. I wasn't looking. I've not been looking for that. And I can see value to that from a design perspective, that to make the out-of-the-way things more likely to have value in them. I was not aware of that, thank you. Yeah, Ordeals is kind of annoying because it's 3 fights just to get 1 check. I would, off the top of my head, imagine Magnetic Cavern also potentially getting a boost like that, and Sealed Cave. I do not currently have the randomizer code open on my desktop. And given how chunky things are being, I'm gonna leave it alone. Or I would check. That is probably a thing that should be added to the either the differences spreadsheet or just like a things you might want to know document. It's a entirely non-obvious design decision. Infinious has made it down to the land of summons, and we have Mom Bomb and Golbez there. And he's not interested. Was that a miss menu? What happened there? He headed right back in. Maybe I saw something wrong. That's, gotta be frustrating. So Infinious is going after Mom Bomb. Martha's picking up those moon checks that we saw Infinious do earlier. Yeah, I must have just mismenued and hit teleport when he intended Cura. That's very unfortunate, quite frustrating. Dr. Luge's key on Mom Bomb. Nice to find that before going into Tower of Babel rather than after. And Golbez here in Falcon Dive with a lot of health is going to be somewhat annoying. The Shadow Dragon has 10% of the spot's HP. Golbez gets the rest. And it just gets free action beyond that. Fortunately, the dragon picked Rosa. By which I mean not our primary damage dealers. And for that, we got nothing. 5 nothings. We could go to the telescope for a free tier 9 item. I don't see that happening. At this stage of the seed. Again, Marth continuing to do the moon checks we've already seen Infinious do. As long as Infinious continues to fade Twin Harp, it seems Infinious is strictly ahead. Thank you for checking that information, Antidale. And I do think that we should at some point get it to somewhere that doesn't require someone to join the Discord and find a post. It is more helpful for everyone if that kind of information can be in something that's web indexed or linked directly from the game information, so it's easy to find. Infinious has wrapped up the Dark Imps. Nice easy fight, and will receive his reward on his way out of the tower. And is proceeding up to the fight at Dr. Luge. I enjoy the moment of quiet, contemplative music for reasons that make sense if you've played the game, but when you're in the randomizer are entirely opaque. And we've got Inyatso at the end here. At Luge. Yes, 1 floor of sadness, which when you're racing lasts for 5 seconds as you go directly toward the door. And that was quick. Or a rat tail. I'm sorry, I mixed up the pink tail and the rat tail earlier, I think. I may have misspoken earlier if I said that the pink tail was good for a key item. The rat tail can be turned in for a replacement key item, and while we're there, we could turn in the pink tail, as Antidil saying in chat, to pick up a free tier 9 item. I suppose if I were racing this, it's probably worth the 10 seconds of menuing and wading through the pause dialogue while you're there, if you go at all. But then again, I'm not highly seeded participating in this tournament. So, what do I know? I mean, what I know is that I can't complete these seeds in 60 to 90 minutes. And and watching the runners go, I can see a lot of the reason why. But I can tell you all that the randomizer is a lot of fun, even if you're not a highly competitive, can race this kind of player. We've got soldiers at the dolls in Dwarf Castle. And with those dead, we'll see who Golbez is being played by today. And the part of Golbez will be played by a Dark Elf. Or more to the point, a Dark Dragon. Thank you for filling me in there, Antidale. Shard 2 from the Super Cannon, that's a big deal, so... We've begun to find our shards that were underground. Infinious only needs one more for go mode. It's not here, that's an Earth Crystal. That would have been very exciting 15 minutes ago for the Treasury. Now it's just another check that's available that's very far away. I think we're going to see the Rat Tail turn in now. That's faster than Zot or Magnetic Cavern. And yeah, switch the Enterprise to grab the hovercraft. If anyone is very familiar with Free Enterprise and not very familiar with Falcon Dive, the hook comes free attached to your Enterprise, but the hovercraft is in fact a key item that you can find. So we inverted it from the way Free Enterprise does it. Turned in the Rat Tail for a Kaipo impasse. We're getting a bit of a fetch quest chain. And we did turn in the Pink Tail while we were here and got a knife for it. It's arguably an upgrade for Edward. It'll be interesting to see if Infinious switches to it. I'm honestly not sure if at this stage, if the pure attack is better than the increased agility. But Infinious knows the game better than I do and is going with the knife. They're certainly both extremely valid options. Meanwhile, back on the right, Marth is working on that white dragon. The Rat Tail led to the Kaipo impasse, led to the Baron Key. That gives us 2 more checks. Infinious has gotta be saying, where are these shards at this point? And, oh no, is my 3rd shard in Magnetic Cavern that I've left behind, and I'm about to see a done at any second. I like the choice to go to Baron over Zot in that it's 2 checks. Seems like the natural check density choice. Marth has finished clearing the moon and will be heading back to the Giant. Very reasonable. Elemental Lords there at Again. Speed bump at this point. And the king is Leviathan. Also going to be speed bump. If we get to it, Odin is at least has enough HP that we'll see it for more than 2 seconds. And a Sand Ruby, we could be extending this fetch quest chain even longer. Like, this could be correct. Be frustrating. That would be a return to Kaipo for another fight against our Water Hag replacement for a check. But first we're going to see what Odin has for us. Oh good, and because Marth has returned to Giant Babel, he will be getting that Magma Rock, so won't have to go through Eblin. Although that does mean 2 boss fights that we don't get to see. That's Dark Imps. 3 very tough giant gators. Still not hard at this stage. Or a necklace. Luca's necklace. They really buried those shards of the crystal this time. Because there are 2 checks at Baron, this could all have been required. It could be 1 at Sand Ruby and 1 in Sealed Cavern. That would be entirely possible. And painful. For that matter, with theory crafting, one of these checks could lead to the frying pan and send us down to Silver Cave. Water Hag is a CPU. And Anna is revealed to have been a frying pan all along. I cursed the seed, I'm so sorry. I said that and it happened. Oh, the good news. I almost said earlier that with the Edward primary damage dealer situation, if a frying pan came up, someone might do Sylph Cave just for the guaranteed knife from Sylvia. Not relevant now. Infinious is going after Sylph first. I do wonder a little bit if we're doing this because it's the farthest away. Well, Sealed Cavern's farther. Maybe this is the closest? Is this a shorter path than Za? It didn't seem intuitively so to me, but perhaps it is. I guess I misread something earlier because that was the elemental words, which are gone, and the reward is nothing. Marth finally making it underground 1 hour 4 minutes in. And heading straight for Land of Summons. Those 2 checks out of the way, they're right next to each other. Infinious going into Sealed Cave. Oh boy. In the last race that we had restream, going into Sealed Cave was actually desirable for the XP, but that was a much earlier trip. Now it's just a lot of walking and menuing, even if you do get to skip the doors. It is less painful than it is in Free Enterprise, as I understand. It's looking like it. Unless... Marth did follow the bomb ring to Town of Mist. So, Sealed and Zaw. Are it? I think you're correct. I think it has to be, and here's one of them, so... That's confirmed. I wonder if part of why Infinious... It may have just been the shorter pathing, but... One nice thing about Sealed Cave, when you're in one crystal shard from go, is if it's not there, you can bail on the fight. I wonder if that played into the priorities. Sure is done. I think you're probably right about fading Harp. And then we also had there's also the case that by routing it this way, alright, so he basically doesn't have to do Harp at all. Well, if this fails, we're down to two locations, and it's got to be in one of them. And straight into Zeromus we go. Pretty standard stuff. We've berserked our melees. We're putting reflects up, so it looks like we're going for the make Zeromus punch himself in the face with Flare's approach on top of the melee. That means that Rydia gets to contribute with Flares. Yeah, with 2 reflect casters. Put all of those walls up pretty quick, and then that's a lot of extra damage. Rydia's flares are doing almost 7,000, with Zeromus' flare reflected doing another 3,000. Oops. Do we intentionally put reflect on Zeromus so that it won't change much? And that's time. Switch over to Marth's audio. Let me see if I can get Infinious in for an interview. I mostly set up for this. I only have one mic. One moment. Okay, so I have Infinious in with me. Infinious, congratulations, GG's. That was a great race.
Thanks. That was an interesting seed where that was probably the best Dead Moon I've ever seen. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
Not having any crystal shards, it sure paid off for you to have done that dive. Raiders, thank you so much, RPG Limit Break, for sending your Raiders over to join us. We're just wrapping up a very exciting Falcon Dive race. Falcon Dive, if the people coming in, if you're not familiar with it, it's a randomizer for Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster, which we were having a great time with. So Infinious just won, and yeah, how are you feeling in that endgame when you got to the underground with still only one crystal shard?
Honestly, not great. Initially I thought it was not great because I figured it was no. I mean, yes, I knew I got overwhelming. My concern was whether were the shards on the overworld really easy to get? Because I figured if that was the case, I was in deep trouble. Getting Magna Key from
one or two overworld checks.
I only skipped ordeals in the end because I don't like ordeals. It's just three long fights for one check. Given what I had available to me, didn't seem like it was worth it. I was more wanting to see who my third character was before I decided to commit to the moon.
Right.
And yeah, that Edward did way more work than I think people probably would have expected.
Yeah, when you found that assassin dagger, that really paid off. And the free adamant armor in the chest.
Oh, and also the free hero shield in the chest, which was also huge. That just meant that there was no adamant armor in the second box I opened, second monster box I opened, which was also incredible. Just gave me full confidence to just go ham and try to blow up the moon.
Right, you don't have to worry about you're not really worrying about chests anymore. It's just how do I get to the checks and which ones are gonna give me that little bit of extra XP I need as I find the crystal shards wherever they are.
Exactly. I think what occurred to me at some points, as I was heading underground, once I cleared that Fame Arch, and I think I looked at how many nothings I had. It's like, oh, I have 5 nothings. I have all the characters. So that means there's four essentially dead ends. 2 nothings and 2 shards. Which then, once I did the routing maps, hang on, that means that Baron Key Baron Key is the only fork left. So I have to prioritize doing all the Baron Key checks as soon as I can. So that was so when it came down to choosing between doing the choice checks or Baron, it wasn't a close choice for me. It was Baron I knew was going to lead to 2.
Right, and it turned out they were both behind Baron. It looks like, based on what we know about.
No, it can't have been. It can't be because Pan was what I got from.
Oh, right, it wasn't behind Pan. Sorry, then where was the one of them has to be in Zot.
Yeah, it's yeah. Okay, so if it's not in Twin Heart, it has to be in Zot. Those were the only checks I had left.
Yes, that's correct, and we know it's not Twin Heart because Marth checked that before going to the moon.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah.
I misremembered where you got the Earth Crystal then.
Yeah, Earth Crystal was from top of tower off memory.
Ah, okay. Which was right before Baron, which is why.
Actually, no. It was Rat Tail into Earth Crystal. That's what I think. It was either Rat Tail to Earth Crystal or it was from top of tower. It was from the tower. It was from Lower Babel, if nothing else.
Wasn't it Rat Tail into Baron Key? Or Rat Tail into Kuiper?
Oh no, Rat Tail to Kuiper in pass into Baron Key.
Yeah, that was the whole chain.
It was top of tower.
Okay.
Top of tower.
Right, so while you were doing Baron, you had Zot available, and that would have turns out that would have been a slightly faster out to your 3rd crystal then.
Yeah. I guess it would have been, but I think I just played the numbers and just went that way.
You know one of them's, I guess, very likely to be at least one of them's behind Baron Key, so.
Yeah, and I guess from a racing standpoint, if the shard was behind Twin Hub, I figured I lose anyway, so I was trying to avoid that as much as possible.
Right, I can absolutely see that decision when you're at that point. It feels like you have no idea where the shards are. You've practically full cleared the seed. It starts to feel likely that if it's in the place that I could have gone all along, then I'm behind.
Yeah, exactly.
As it turns out, your moon dive just worked out structurally much better than Marth's did, and so you. Yeah, get it. And Magnetic Cavern was a dead end, so you've been kind of strictly ahead. We've known.
I guess there's that, but at that point, I don't think even if I had done Cake Magnus that early, I don't think that counts for that amount of time. Considering I don't even know where Marth is at the moment.
Marth is heading to Zot, so he'll get his 3rd crystal shard and finish up.
Okay, sure. So you found the quicker go mode essentially, but that's more than that's a fair bit of time. That's kind of a fair bit of a time difference, really, which I don't know. I find kind of surprising actually. I expected. This ended up being more of a. Unfortunately, it's going to be more of a blow than people would have expected. But it's randomized. It's a randomizer. Some plays work, some plays don't. These things happen.
Yeah, things happen, and I think that I would describe it as your dive to the moon. Everything lined up perfectly, and just went right. As Intidel saying in chat, Harp ended up being slow. It ate up a lot of time. He didn't quite have the damage to do that smoothly. So it ate up a little more time than you'd expect. And then slightly different sequencing in Giant and Moon type stuff. Just ended up
yeah.
like every one of those choices that you ended up hitting in a way that just was landed smoother. And some of that's just things paying off. You did core a little bit sooner, so you picked up that free adamant armor in an open chest sooner, and the free assassin's dagger.
Yeah.
He went back to last arm, and that cost time. It offered a silver shield, but
I mean, there were free silver shields in chests.
exactly.
So, you know.
Well, he went after that before he cleared the subterrane. So it seemed like a great idea. Let's get this good check. It's not too hard. It'll give me a really good item. I think he did Bahamut and Jellyfish and then went back for Last Arm. And it just...
okay.
A very reasonable choice that just turned out to be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, from my perspective, a lot of those little routing decisions of which things that would get you gear you prioritized in diving, in doing that moon dive where you're underleveled and you need to make something happen to crack it open. And yeah, yours paid in a way that Marth's didn't, and he just hit a couple of slugs.
Anyway, apologies. Someone literally just rang at my door, so I might just have to duck out immediately to answer that. So
thanks a lot for running,
15:30.
and thanks for the wrap up. Congratulations again.
Yes, thanks for doing restream, and thanks to Ansel for doing tracking.
So that timing has Marth heading into into this room fight. So we'll be wrapping up real soon. And sorry, doing a little behind the scenes work. So But at least we've got the music. Sorry, doing the solo. Things get a little frantic. And that is time for Marth. The time of 1 hour 20, just shy of 25 minutes. Apologies for the audio echo. I think was coming from... Yeah, no problem. I brought it down. If you want to talk to your stream, that's fine, Marth. And let's see if Marth is up for an interview before we wrap up. Hey, GG's, Marth.
Thank you. Yeah, Moon was almost haunted.
Yeah, it had alternate underground access and a lot of XP.
And strong characters, but in terms of progression,
Yeah, a lot of value, but no... but not progression. There's an alternate version of this seed which neither of you took that involves ignoring the moon entirely, and I'm very curious what it looks like.
Okay, an alternate version of the seed. You mean the one with the other flag checksum? Interesting.
Well, yeah, because you could have, you had the hovercraft. You could have worked your way through Cave Evelyn and done underground and discovered all your crystal shards and
yeah,
tried to figure out what you wanted to do without having gotten the extra characters or the extra power off the moon.
Yeah, well, I figured that with the characters that I had, aside from Edward, I didn't really have much of firepower. Depending on my own offensive style, Edward was pretty much the only thing I had going for me before going to the moon. And since I didn't find anything like an Apple's harp or anything like that, I figured, okay, let's just take the bet. Let's just go on the moon and hope for strong characters. Right. I saw a whip, so I figured Rydia's there. So I planned on putting all my chips on her. I mean, it worked to a degree. Bosses were easy pickings after I got her, but yeah, progression items were missing.
Yep, fortunately, Rydia came in at high level. Someone in chat noted that she came in just a couple levels away from Flare, so nice and good for clearing things that aren't Zeromus. At least.
Yeah, I also noticed Eddie saying basically Harp was slow. Yeah, in terms of DPS, I didn't have a whole lot, but I figured, well, might as well try in case it would be a shard or anything.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Your major differences were Infinious Faded Harp. Saved some time. So that saved probably 4 or 5 minutes off of your time, and then there was like just some minor differences in choices you made on how you approached that early visit to Moon and Giant. Where you both made like just the specific choices he made paid off slightly more. He went after Subterrane a little earlier than you did.
Okay.
and
So
those open chests had real value in them.
yeah, so he went to pick up his lunar whale before I did, right?
Yeah, he picked up the whale a little bit before you did, and then when
Okay.
he used it, he went after while you were doing I want to say while you were doing Cape Bahamut, he was doing under the palace, the central part of the moon.
Okay, he was at the lunar
I forget
core.
if he did that before Giant or
Okay.
but yeah, it seemed like you got stuck in. You could maybe check the VOD. Although I need to apologize once again. The video ended up stuttering horribly, and that's entirely my fault. I thought my setup was good, and in testing it was great. It was smooth and great, and then when we went live, it was awful.
Yeah, well, Murphy's Law, you know?
Absolutely. So yeah, there were just like a couple of things that just ended up being
just
taking longer for you to do the same things because you did them in slightly different orders.
Right.
It was tough to watch.
Yeah, well, I think what might have hurted me the most is going for a couple of those strap chests before I went to the lunar core and found what was my second adamant armor, and which probably was Infinious's first. If he went and checked he went and checked all the non-trap chests to see if he could hit the jackpot, and obviously he did with an adamant armor and a hero's shield. He was set for life at that point.
Yeah, and there was an assassin's dagger as well.
Yes.
And at the point he hit it, that was pretty huge because it was like adamant armor, and then the next chest has the assassin dagger, and he just throws those on Edward, and then he can just everything's just a little bit faster because that was active sooner.
Well, yeah, that combo is just monstrous. The Assassin's Dagger, it's just as good as with fighters as it is with casters, with the chain nukes and all. So yeah, once you get that wombo combo, that's all she wrote.
Yeah, and then I mean, same for you, just a little behind. It was just a matter of finding where the stupid crystal shards were, and they were as buried as they could possibly have been.
Yes, they were.
A big chain from the underground leading to each of them, and you actually found the earlier third shard.
Okay.
Making the choice to go to Zot was a good one.
Yeah, although I should have made it sooner, but yeah, it's easy to say in hindsight. I went for Baron thinking, okay, well, I have more chances of getting key items there, but I got tricked by that.
Right, so if you chased that down, the other one was in Sealed Cave.
Yeah. The other one was in Sealed Cave?
It was, so if you continued that line, that gets you to the other one, but...
Okay, well, at that point...
That's slow.
At that point, I didn't want to venture there. I mean, Sealed Cave is great when you get it very early and you can buy a Curved Whiskers. That's amazing, but at the end game, you don't want to go there.
Yeah, if you value... If that XP is still value, then it's good.
Then it's
but
if you don't...
But if you're skipping the doors, then...
Yeah, it's just long for one check. You want to go. You want to make sure that your checks are quick, just to ensure that you don't waste too much time. So that's why it's not really tempting at that stage of the game.
Yeah, you're at a point where you've got all the power you need, and you're just trying to find those crystal shards so you can go kick Surma's butt and wrap it up.
Exactly. Yep. That's all I had in mind, obviously, and in any event.
15, 20 minutes, just where are those crystal shards? I'm ready.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I mean, was a challenging seed, and GG's to Infinious on that one. But this isn't the last you've seen of me.
Yeah, we'll see you in the Underworld And then you'll
finals.
and then you'll possibly have another crack at Infinious in the grand finals, depending on how things go.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm definitely not underestimating Flurry, an amazing player, but I intend on getting my rematch.
Ah, excellent. Well, we hope to see you there, and we look forward to seeing you in your next race in any case. Thanks a lot for racing for us.
It was my pleasure.
So yes, thank you to our runners, and I'd like to thank Antidale a lot for tracking and also for helping me out behind the scenes in keeping all this going and getting it working as well as it could be. Do please follow our runners and Antidale. We have a command to put that in chat, I think, and I've forgotten what it is.